What we're watching in Westminster is just a pantomime across the parties, I think, Linda. I think lots of people think that. What's your view on it?
Well, I mean, I'm in Strasbourg this morning, and we've just come out of, I've just literally left a debate where they've been discussing here what's going to happen next on Brexit. And I think the problem that other countries have is that they're not really sure what actually the UK wants. I mean, I heard, some Tory MP saying, we need now, Brussels must respond and whatever, but what is Brussels supposed to do when last night outside the House of Commons you had people cheering who want to remain in the EU, people cheering who want to leave the EU, and the reasons people voted against the Prime Minister deal for different reasons. So the first thing that from people sitting here has to happen is that the UK government, Theresa May, has to come back and say, okay, if you want an agreement with the EU, this is what the House of Commons will accept. She has to have something through the House of Commons because she set these red lines 2 years ago. She's negotiated this deal, and now here my colleagues just want to know what is it that can actually get through the House of Commons, because that's they can't decide. They can decide. We at the moment we're still planning. The European Parliament is still planning to vote on the withdrawal deal as it's being agreed with the UK government. But part of the ratification process requires House of Commons to vote for it as well, and that's where we're stuck.
But surely, I think, don't we all know that what they want is that deal without the backstop?
Well, we don't know that, do we? Because that's what a handful of conservative Brexit people are saying they want. But it's not why Labour voted against. And we don't know, and there were conservative Remainers who also voted against. So we don't know what the majority is in the House of Commons. We don't know what the majority is for. And so, I mean, the backstop, this is the Irish backstop. Don't forget, the backstop is actually something the UK government asked the EU for. Because, the UK government has said that we don't want to have a hard border in Northern Ireland. And they were asked to come up with a solution, and everyone was spent 2 years looking for a solution to if you don't have a customs union, if you've got to check goods because you've got to impose tariffs on them, how do you do that if you've not got a border? And the UK couldn't come up with a solution. So what they came up with instead was the idea of a backstop. And the backstop it's just an insurance policy. What it says is if you've now got, because if we leave with a deal now, the idea is that we leave on the 29th of March and then really nothing changes for 18 months. We have a transition period. I think even the Brexit guy was saying we need a transition period. You can't just leave from one day to the next because, lots of problems, even like in Sheffield and South Yorkshire, people who've got European money will stop. We have to have some kind of transition. So during that transition period, that's when we're going to negotiate a new trade agreement. And not what the backstop is. We simply said, okay, if you don't manage to reach an agreement in that time, or the new trade agreement is not in position, at that point, this is our insurance policy in case we don't reach agreement. And the EU side didn't actually want to give us that. Because from their point of view, they think, well, actually, if the UK continues to be part of the, sort of have free movement of goods, etc., beyond 2020, but it's not even paying into the budget, they're getting something for nothing. So it's ironic for me that what the UK asked for is the thing that's now causing the problems at Westminster. So it's not true that there's a majority in Westminster to remove the backstop. That's not true. We don't know what the majority in Westminster wants. That's only a minority. It's the Tory Brexiteers, if you like. And a lot of them, the problem is a lot of them actually want no deal altogether. That's what they really want. They want to walk away with no deal.
Does that worry Europe? Does that worry the EU, no deal?
It does. I mean, we had Michel Barnier spoke this morning, the European Commission Vice President, a lot of my colleagues, the European Parliament President, and they've all said very clearly that no deal is costly for both sides. It is a problem. There will be economic problems, political problems. It's not what anybody wants. But at the same time, I think the EU side will be better prepared for no deal than the British side. They've already got in place a plan for no deal. They've got a number of pieces of legislation which will have to happen, because some basic things like they want to make sure as well that planes can continue to fly between UK and Europe. They want to make sure that that as far as possible trade continues, that we don't stop lorry. They don't want to see lorry parks on their side of the channel or on our side of the channel. So, but they've already got a sort of list of, it's a few laws which have to go through to allow no deal. And I'm a chair of a committee, and we had a meeting yesterday where we agreed a process to put those pieces of legislation through the European Union lawmaking process.
Very briefly, Linda, because we have to go. Very briefly, if as some people suggest, Article 50 could be put back, that probably puts you in the chair to campaign for the European Parliament elections in May, doesn't it? Would you?
Look, I think that's a long way off at the moment. This morning, the people are saying they will only reopen, talk about extending Article 50 if there's a tangible change in the UK government, if they move their red lines. If she says, for example, actually we want a customs union instead, and then they're going to start about extending it. So I don't think that is immediately on the table at all.
OK, thank you very much indeed. That's Linda McAvan there, the Labour MEP for Yorkshire and the Humber.